Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 29 of the Clappercast. I'm Sean,
And I'm Burke.
and we are talking here on November 18th, 2019. We're like just over a month and a half into the season now. And how are your thoughts so far on, well, we'll start with your team. So you're a Cavs fan. They've got a significant lead in the league right now, like 7 points over second place. So how's it been watching them have this amazing start to the year?
It's been fun. I was a little hesitant going into the season to see how good of a team they were going to be, but they've actually been pretty pleasantly surprising. It helps that John Carlson is going beast mode and getting points in like every single game. But
Yeah, I think he had another two assists in this game. They're playing tonight, right?
yeah, they just beat the Ducks. Carlson had 2 assists. He's got like a 7 game point streak or something now. So they're doing really well. You know, the power play is doing well. Um, Everybody's scoring. Jacob Vrana is kind of having like a bit of a breakout year.
Yeah.
Um, and
It's been
yeah,
uh it's been nice to see on their end too the emergence of some of the depth players doing really well as well.
yeah,
We were talking just before starting the recording. You were mentioning the fourth line has been exceptional so far.
yeah. I was a little scared going in about particularly that fourth line. We had some new guys coming in. You know, we have Garnet Hathaway and Brendan Leipsic, and you know those guys are kind of energy guys, and I wasn't sure how they're going to be, but they're actually really fun to watch. They play with Nick Dowd typically. Um, Boyd has been playing up the middle on that a little bit too, but they've been good. I think they got in a little bit of a scuffle today.
Yeah, so
There's a bit
let's
of a
transition
line
right into
brawl.
that. That was kind of a well, I'll say funny situation, but they got into a bit of a line brawl, and then Garnet Hathaway got sucker punched by Eric Goodbranson, and in that Hathaway spat on Goodbranson.
Yes, yes, he did.
So yeah, so that's not a cool move. Um,
It, you found a pretty funny quote though.
yeah. Mostly, I just wanted to mention this quote because of how just very hilarious it sounded and is worded. So, in a post-game interview, Garnet Hathaway said, "Spit came out of my mouth after I got sucker punched and went on to him. It was a quick reaction and unfortunately the wrong one for me."
Yeah.
So that's just
So
kind of like, someone's asking you, "Oh, did you punch that guy?" And he's like, and you respond, "My arm may have come in contact with his face after moving it, but
yeah. So I mean, I think he's got a bit of a point because let's break the play down. So what happened was um, Hathaway was behind the net, um, and then I don't know who it was in the Ducks even, but they got the puck like right at the post, and Brendan Leipsic came in and laid a monster hit, and then you can see it like two of the Ducks rather than go to their check because Washington still has possession, they go to Leipsic to hit him, and because of that, they leave Chandler Stevenson wide open in the slot, and Hathaway passes him the puck, and he just roofs it, snipes it, top cheddar. And meanwhile, there's a fight breaking out, and then it kind of settles down a bit. Like Hathaway was fighting with somebody, then they settle down, and the refs got Hathaway, and Goodbranson comes over,
looks
and
like
he
yeah, it looks like
he's
Hathaway's
he's
got Grant,
so
Derek Grant.
so the refs got Hathaway locked down, like his arms are immobile, and Goodbranson's punching him in the face. It's cheap shots, and then he spat on him because he couldn't punch, I guess.
Yeah, that's always a tough one when
um,
the refs grab the guy and they have one of the two guys' arms locked up, and then the other one is just like taking liberties at him and punching him and stuff.
yeah, like what do you do? So he was
Yeah,
assessed a match penalty on the play, which I think is actually the incorrect call because I think in the rule book it says it's a game misconduct. So we'll see if that match gets rescinded. But I mean, after the game, right after that quote, Hathaway said, you know, his actions had no place in the game. So you know, he shows a bit of remorse there.
yeah, he's kind of owning up to a heat of the moment decision.
Yeah. So um, that being
I'm I'm
said, you
s-
know, the
I'm
goal
surprised he
counted,
didn't say. Oh, yeah, it did. That's the other important part.
and he got an
I'm
assist.
surprised he didn't say that Goodbranson just punched the spit out of him.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny, get an assist and then get fucking booted out of the game. So, so yeah,
Almost a Gordie Howe hat trick on one play.
yeah, pretty much. I guess to come full circle on that, yeah, the Capitals have been fun to watch. They've definitely retained a lot of their core over the past few seasons. It's definitely very much the same team. Holtby's been playing really well lately. He had a bit of a shaky start to the year, but he's been kind of back to his former self. So, yeah, they've been a lot of
And
fun
it
to
seems
watch.
once again they've got another excellent backup coming up through the system in Ilya Samsonov.
Yeah, Samsonov has been pretty impressive. They've recently actually just sent him back down, more of a cap space move because
Right,
I think they have Vanacek or Copley came up, so they make less than him. I think it was Vanacek came up. So Samsonov is still in DC to my knowledge. He hasn't actually gone to Hershey, so he'll probably be, get
right. It's just one of those paper
yeah,
transactions.
yeah, for sure. Um, so yeah, they've been fun to watch. Everybody's putting up points. Richard
Yeah,
Panik got his first goal as a Capital today after having a bit of a shaky start to the year. He was kind of held scoreless for a while, and then he got hurt and was put on LTIR for a while and came back. And there were some people who were critical of him, so it's kind of nice to see him get a goal like 50 seconds into this game tonight. So yeah,
yeah. I think that's a good start for him because he's a pretty reliable, probably third, fourth line guy. He's kind of known for a bit of a speed, a bit of an energy game.
hmm
So to have him finally kind of starting to hopefully get into the groove offensively, that'll be a nice. Not that the Caps are in need of it, but another nice offensive
yeah,
depth.
for sure. I think he's a bit streaky, but
Oh man,
but yeah, like you said, the Caps have a lot of depth. So if he can chip in, he
they're currently the best offensive team in the league. They've got a 15 goal lead over Florida
can.
for sec.
Yeah, we have better defense too, so that
So
helps. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they've been fun.
So on that note, we're talking about one Eastern Conference team that is starting excellently. How about we move to one that's been struggling big time as of
I
late
think I know who you're
in the
talking about.
Toronto Maple Leafs? Yep.
Yeah, have they lost 5 in a row at this point? Four?
Four.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 game losing streak. I think I saw somewhere they won like two of their last 14 regulation games or
Yeah.
something. So they're barely getting by even in overtime. The team's goal differential is down to -6, which is not a good sign for heading into late November with American Thanksgiving coming
Yeah,
up right
that's kind
away.
of the metric, right? Like the goal
Um,
differential by American Thanksgiving.
Basically,
Yeah.
goal differential it's usually just simplified as to like if you're in the playoffs at American Thanksgiving, chances are you're going to be there at the end of the year
hmm
too. Um, Goal differential is just the easiest way to predict play like if you're going to make the playoffs,
Right.
basically.
I see. Well, they're still in a. Are they still? Where are they sitting in the standings right now? Um,
Let me flip over there. They are fourth in the wild card
uh,
race.
okay.
So they're 2 points back of Pittsburgh and Philly for the wild card
Mm,
spots. So they're actually not even in the playoffs right now.
that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been trending down.
But I mean, they're also only 3 points back of Florida for third in the division. So it's not like they've got an insurmountable deficit to come back from. But we're seeing like even Tampa Bay started to play a lot better, and they're still sitting 4 points out of a playoff spot.
Yeah, right.
And the other thing with the Leafs is that they've played 22 games, most in the East except for Washington and Detroit.
Mm.
So every other team above them is at 20 games.
Yeah, so they've
So that's
played a
like,
couple extra games.
yeah,
Tampa's played 17,
yeah,
so they've got some
mhm,
games in hand. So yeah, Toronto's been having a rough go. I mean we've kind of been talking about this for the whole season. Um, they've
yeah. It's pretty much a weekly segment is just how are the Leafs still struggling?
yeah. There was a Matthews quote that you mentioned to me that
Yeah, so I don't have the exact quote, but in an interview over the last few days, Austin Matthews has talked about a lack of confidence in the dressing room, which it's kind of nice. Like the openness that he's kind of admitting, like, yeah, we're in a slump right now, basically. Like nobody's got it rolling, nobody's really feeling it right now, and it's hard to just make it happen when everyone's kind of like doubting themselves and have in the same
It
type of
is
struggle.
nice, but it is Toronto, so that's going to be blown completely out of proportion, and it's going to turn into, has
Oh, for
Babcock
sure.
lost the dressing room? Has he lost like confidence in his team? It's going to be just ridiculous. I know it's just going to blow up. Um, Babcock's kind of already on the hot seat a bit, in the eyes of fans at least.
There was a fire Babcock chant in that game a couple days
Yeah,
ago.
that was in Pittsburgh, right?
I think
That
so,
was the
probably.
game that they lost. What was it, like 6-2 or
6-1, I
something
think.
like that?
6-1 or 6-2, right?
Yeah, that was a rough
And
one.
that was their new backup, Koskisuo's debut, I believe.
Yes. Welcome to the NHL. Here's the Pittsburgh
Yeah,
Penguins.
no doubt.
Fuck. Yeah, he
Yeah,
got hung out
but
to dry.
to kind of go back to that Matthews quote, we kind of think about how Toronto's got this fairly young team and fairly inexperienced too. I mean, Tavares has a bit of experience in his time in his years, but the rest of the core of the team is still very, very young, very, very inexperienced. And additionally, the amount of roster turnover over the last couple of seasons too, that they don't have that dressing room chemistry build up over time that a lot of the better teams get, like you see in Washington and
True.
Boston, like the perennially
They
good
have lost
teams,
their $11 million man too. Barner is out
and
because of
that is a
injury.
massive loss.
So that's huge because he plays power play. He is kind of the quarterback on that power play one. He plays penalty kill. He plays huge minutes with Tavares.
Yeah,
He's
and
Smith.
he's probably their best all around
Yeah,
forward.
yeah. I mean, we don't have to tell anybody. We heard about it all off season how important he was to that team and
Yep.
what type of player he was. But um, it sucks that he's out, obviously. But that's not the only reason that they're struggling. You mentioned
No,
Kaskasuo. Did you see the one goal where who was it? Muzzin tripped up um, Tanev. Tanev went sliding into
I did
Kaskasuo.
not.
It was reviewed for a long time, or maybe no, it wasn't reviewed. It was just the ref went over to talk to Mike Sullivan, and you could see Mike Recchi, like his assistant, um, talking to his review guy
Right.
and just determining if they wanted to challenge. And they were given like something like 2.5
They're just
minutes to decide if they wanted to challenge. So, um,
wow. That's kind of absurd. They should they should really just be like going at the normal pace of the game. And if you can't figure it out in that, minute of celebration and resetting up the play, like yeah, you're just you're like grasping at straws here.
yeah, it was a long time. I was watching the Toronto feed of that game, and they were getting pretty upset that the game was getting delayed. Mind you, this was already a blowout game, but um,
People are just wanting to get out.
yeah, it was. It ended up being a good goal. So I just wanted to see if you saw that because it was a really weird situation where Tanev was coming in to the net, got tripped up by Muzzin, flew into the goalie, and then somebody else put the puck into the net. So it was determined that Muzzin caused Tanev to go into the goalie, therefore it was a good goal.
Yeah,
It was just
I can agree with that
yeah,
ruling.
it was a fair enough ruling. It just
Without
took a
seeing the goal, I can
long
agree with it.
time to get there.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was a bit of a weird one. But I mean, nothing really Cascasio could do on that. So it sucks that in his first game, his numbers are just getting fucked by a goal like that, whereas D-Man just
Yeah.
you know destroys him basically. Um,
Isn't that some good old Mike Babcock gamemanship though? Just
no, it
delaying
wasn't him. It
everything.
was Sullivan.
Oh, great. Wrong
Yeah,
side.
yeah. It would totally make sense for Babcock to do that. Um, with his
Yeah.
icing
That's all I
strategy.
had in my mind the entire time.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Kaskasuo let up a bunch of goals in his debut, but again, you can't fault him too much because of the situation he was put in. It was another like day 2 of a back-to-back, I think, and against a higher scoring team like Pittsburgh. And
Yeah, and Pittsburgh's doing, despite all of their injuries, Pittsburgh is doing really well
yeah,
this year.
yeah, um, it's it just sucks for Toronto. They just can't get it going.
Yeah,
I feel for the fans because they have a good team on paper, and they look to have gotten better this offseason, but it's just not really working out that way. I wanted to mention Tyson Barrie and his struggles that he's going through. Um,
absolutely. That's a tough one because that was such a big acquisition for the team, and like Barry was rumored to be a target for the Leafs for basically the entirety of the
yeah,
last season, right? Because I think he was like target number one at the trade deadline before they got Muzzin. Everyone was like Tyson Berries the perfect fit. He's like the right-handedness and that offensive defensive guy, like just a great fit for what the Leafs needed and their
yeah.
system.
And then he gets
But
here
yeah, that's not
and
working very
he
well.
doesn't have a goal still. He's not playing power play time or power play one like he's used to in Colorado,
Yep.
and doesn't look like Babcock is willing to take Riley off that first power play in um, with Barrie, which kind of sucks for Barrie because he's good on the power play. I don't know if Riley is really that great, but my understanding is him playing on the left side. All he has to do is really pass the puck down to Marner or Nylander, and he gets an assist because it just gets thrown over to Matthews, and he one times it. So
Basically. Yeah, so Tyson Berry's ice time this year, his total ice time hasn't changed. It's pretty much
just
the
his
same as the last
usage.
few years, but his usage is big time change. So he had like 4 minutes of power play time per game in Colorado last year, and he's down to 2 minutes this year.
Yeah, so it's halved.
Yeah, and for a guy with his talents, like of course he's going to put up a lot of his production on the power play. That's kind of where he excels. So with 4 minutes of power play time per game, he's probably going to get a point at least every game or two on that. So if that's suddenly cut down and he's utilized on a worse unit instead of playing with McKinnon and Rantanen and Landeskog, now he's with like the Leafs B team basically.
Yeah.
Not going to get as many points. Not as going to get as many
No, he's
opportunities.
been held pointless a lot this season. He's not doing very good, and it was confirmed that the Leafs are getting trade calls for him. I could see him being a very
Yeah.
valuable asset because Colorado is already retaining 50% of his salary. So if they can
Hmm.
trade him, they could get something back for him because I don't think he's going to stay at the end of the season based on his usage. Like it doesn't
No.
based on his previous point totals, he's not going to want to play that long.
Yeah, a player like him is probably a top pairing defenseman on most
Yeah,
teams. So he's probably not going to be too willing to stay in Toronto to be a second
at
pairing
least
guy.
the power play because he's had
Yeah.
high point totals before, like 50-point D-man, and for him to now be kind of on pace for probably like 20, he's not going to want to stick around, I don't think. And if he can get traded
No.
this year, he can potentially work himself into a power play one situation and then, um, you know, earn himself another payday for his next contract, which I think would be extremely
Yeah.
appealing for a player like him.
Yeah. And just to kind of like restate what you mentioned before, the Leafs are receiving trade calls on Barry. That does not mean that he is in trade rumors and he's in trade
Yeah.
talks. It's just teams are like calling to inquire about his
Mhm.
availability. Um, there's no suspicion that he's actually available or that the Leafs are fielding these calls with, much enthusiasm. But the interest is there, and teams very obviously know what Barry is capable of and are seeing what they can get for him. Um, he hasn't asked for a trade either, but maybe as we move closer to the trade deadline, with him being in a contract year, like you
Mhm.
said, he's going to want to try and get somewhere where he can
Showcase
kind of
himself.
reclaim some of that value because it's hard because you see a lot of guys have their breakout year in a contract year. Well, you don't want to go and have a massive regression and then lose a bunch of value before you go and sign a big
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah. One thing with this Barrie is I kind of wanted to see if you could speculate on potentially who those trade calls are coming from. Because, you know, is there a team that would want an offensive right-hand defenseman? I could think of a lot of teams that would want.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that is the most valuable type of defenseman out there,
Exactly.
to be
Yeah.
honest. Um, I wanna throw Vancouver in there because I feel like they're gonna kind of be on the cusp of a playoff spot, if not wanting a little bit
I
more.
could see that.
I'm just trying to see what side Quinn Hughes plays, but I could see someone like a lot of these playoff bubble teams are gonna be more than willing to take a flyer on a cheap defenseman with a lot of potential to bounce
Yep.
back.
Quinn Hughes is a
Um,
lefty.
Unfortunately, a lot don't might not have the cap space for him because there's a lot of teams up at the cap limit.
Yep.
But yeah, I could see Vancouver
Yeah, he's a Victoria
flipping
guy,
through the teams.
Barrie, so playing
Yeah,
on the Vancouver Canucks would probably be pretty appealing to him, having grown up in BC.
yeah. And the other thing too is the Canucks like really, really need defensemen
Yep.
like for the future. They've got okay right now, but Tanev and Edler are aging and they're still doing okay, but they're not going to be there
Hmm.
forever. And they're going to need some. They don't exactly have the greatest defensive prospect pools. They might need another guy like Barry to kind of tide them over for a
Yeah,
little bit.
Levy got hurt again, hey?
That's not good for him. He's kind of dropped off the face of the earth in terms of prospect rankings
Yeah,
lately.
definitely. I could see Vancouver. That would make sense to me. I don't know if they have got the space to accommodate him, but I mean, if they made some type of move, um, that would look like a natural fit just on the team that they're icing right now. I think that
No, they definitely don't have the cap space as I'm looking at cap friendly,
you
but
never know when it gets closer to
that's
the
not to
trade
say they
deadline
couldn't. Yeah,
how that magic
they
works.
kind of have they do have a guy like Sven Berchi, more of a skilled forward who I feel like might want to fit into Toronto's system a little bit differently than Berchi's kind of getting passed over in Vancouver.
I could
I'm sure they could work out a bit of a retained salary thing to make it about equal Barry and Berchi coming back.
I could see Babcock wanting Vertanen.
Yeah, that's the right type of player.
But he's obviously not calling the shots. Um, yeah, I could see him adding value to a lot of teams that are, like you said, kind of on the cusp of making playoffs. Um, like I don't know if there's a right-handed D-man that's needed in like Philly because um, I don't know who would even be a right-handed D-man on Philly. Provorov, is he right-handed?
Let's see, Matt Niskanen, Justin Braun, Travis Sanheim, and Philip Myers.
Yeah, so I think there might be a need there. Um,
Definitely. They also are in need of an offensive defenseman with Gostisbehere having a struggle
yeah,
or a
he
bad
has
season so
been
far.
struggling since kind of his rookie year, hasn't he? He's kind of
Yeah, he had that break. He had that one amazing season. Actually, no. 46 points, 64 in his rookie year, then dropped to 39 and 76 the next year. Then he went back up to 65 and
oh
78. Then last year was 37 and 78, and now he's just at six points in 20 games.
oh okay
So he's kind of been jumping back and forth a lot, but this year he's been pretty slow, and I think he's gotten demoted, basically behind Provorov in a lot of
yeah.
situations.
Provorov is definitely their number one guy. Pardon me, he's definitely the best.
So yeah, Philly could probably use a guy like Barry on their top pairing
Yeah. Um,
for more of a
and
boost.
I wonder if a team hear me out here. This is gonna sound stupid, but
Okay, hot take coming.
I wonder if Vegas would want him.
Okay, so as soon as you said "hear me out here," I was just gonna say, "What, Vegas?" They seem to want to trade for
Yeah,
everybody.
they want everybody, and I know Shea Theodore isn't having the greatest season either. Um,
And Vegas does have a need for right-handed
yeah,
defensemen or guys listed as a right D. They've got Nate Schmidt and Nick Holden, and then Derek Englund, who is very quickly playing himself out of the
yeah.
lineup.
So I could see Vegas is
So
never really out of the question when it comes to trade talk. You
no.
know,
And a quick puck moving defenseman like Barrie would fit in with Vegas's system very
yeah,
well.
I could see Toronto trading
And
out
it would
of
also
conference too,
probably,
for sure.
yeah, it would also probably help cover Barry's question marks around his defense with the system Vegas
Yep,
has
quick puck mover, opportunity to play power play. Just a quick note
easily.
about Vegas. This has nothing to do with Barry, but have you noticed that Pacioretty has been playing on a different line? He's been playing with Riley Smith and William Karlsson.
I didn't realize they had changed lines, but I did know that the original line, I guess, of Stastny, Pacioretty, and Stone, they had been struggling for a few games, and they must have gotten switched up because Pacioretty's been hot, and Mark Stone just completely quieted down for a while. He just got his first goal in like 8 games last
Yeah,
night.
they've been moving the lineup
So
around. Cody Glass has kind of been
yeah, they've had to do a bit of work.
bumping around. Yeah. I just watched a couple other games and thought it was interesting that Pacioretty was actually playing with um, Carlson and Riley Smith because,
Yeah.
I mean, you always watch their games and you see Marchessault, Riley Smith, and William Carlson together, and you see like
Hmm.
Patches, Stastny, and Stone. And so it was weird to not see those out because I noticed that because um, I have Riley Smith on my fantasy team and um, my opponent has Marchessault, and I got a minus on Riley Smith, and my opponent didn't get a minus on Marchessault. And I was like, how could that be? They're on the same
Yeah.
line. Then I tuned into the game and noticed that they weren't playing together, and I was like, what the hell is going
Oh,
on?
that's just one of those situations where the guy sees the puck going into the net, so he hops off to the bench real quick.
Yeah, yeah. Get me out of here.
Protect the stats.
Take the minus.
I see what's happening.
Yeah,
Get me out.
yeah. Pretty funny. But I could see
Hmm.
Vegas happening. You just never really know. That they're just in on everybody.
Oh, for sure.
So I like your
Yeah.
pick of Vancouver though. I think that would be a natural place for him to go to, just based on what Vancouver needs. That'd be
Yeah. It would
pretty
help them
fun.
out.
Um,
Yeah. So, thinking, how about we change gears here? There's a bit of a controversial situation in a game over the weekend with Matt Calvert on the Colorado Avalanche, where he blocked a shot to the head. It hit him somewhere in the face, and he was down on the ice bleeding. He tried to get up and couldn't stand up. He got to his knees and then went back down. And the play continued. Refs didn't blow it down. There's one staring right at him. And then Vancouver scored on
yeah,
the
I was
play.
watching that game live.
And there was a lot of backlash from the players, including Zach Werenski, who you might recall a few
Yeah,
seasons ago in the playoffs had a puck ramp off his stick into the face where that was when he broke his jaw or his
yep.
orbital bone,
In playoffs
something like
against the
that.
Penguins.
But yeah, a lot of blood, and because they didn't whistle, did they whistle the play
No.
down that time? No, they didn't. And play continued on. He's there in a giant pile of blood. Everyone's screaming to whistle the play down, and it's just going. So there's a lot of players are talking about how that's just a joke. I think Eric Johnson basically said that's a fucking
Yep.
joke, that they're not protecting the players at all,
Yeah.
and they're just letting it happen. This guy who very clearly needs medical attention. Like, this isn't just him kind of lying down milking an injury to get the play blown dead. He's bleeding on the
Yeah.
ice.
I was watching that game live with a couple buddies. And one of them, well, two of them were huge Canucks fans, so they obviously had some bias, but they even said like, "Why isn't this getting called down?" And I immediately thought of that Zach Werenski thing, and
Yeah.
I could remember it happening and watching that and being like, "What the fuck? Blow it down!" And in that Werenski one, there's visible blood on the ice, and
Hmm.
Werenski, he's down. He definitely doesn't stay down though. He gets up and he skates to the bench, like covering his face because he's bleeding so much, and they don't blow it down, and Pittsburgh scores. And I remember the backlash for that being pretty huge because it was obvious that he was not okay because of the amount of blood.
Of
And
course.
then in this one, it's different to me because there wasn't visible blood, but he was down
as
for a long
much.
time. Yeah, like
Yeah,
I didn't notice the blood until he took his helmet off and you could see it
the
from his
replays, right?
ear. And then you watch the replay and he's kind of got like he swings around trying to block Pedersen from shooting.
Yeah, he kind of had a weird maneuver to try and get in the way of
And
that
then the
puck,
puck goes up
but
off of his shaft of his stick and right into his face, I think, or right into the side of his head.
yeah, something like
But
that.
Pedersen, you see it after he's hit. He's standing there like this guy needs help. He's looking around with his arms out,
Yeah,
and then play continues and Vancouver scores. And it was a long time
yeah.
too.
It was a solid 5-10 seconds at
Yeah.
least, right? And in a situation like that's massive. That feels like minutes, like
Um,
watching a guy just on the ice like that. And it's very clear he's not able to get up and deal with it under his own power, like in like some other players
I mean,
do.
what is the rule that the team needs to have possession or it needs to be
I
not a
think that's
clear
it.
scoring opportunity coming up for
I think
play
that
to
is
be
like
blown
it's
down?
something like that. But I feel like that was a bit of a I guess the refs played it as well as they could based off what we believe the rule to
Yeah.
be. But I think that's also a signal that maybe that rule needs to be reevaluated for situations like that. Because I mean, these refs are, as much criticism as they take, they are still amazing at their jobs and amazing at seeing what happens in real time when they're on the ice.
Yeah.
And they are probably able to see what happened better than we ever will. They are probably able to tell when he gets up and goes back down. They can probably see the blood somewhere on the ice and realize, okay, that's probably a discretionary call I should make. They should probably be some provision in the rule book to allow them to do that.
Yeah, it's tough because watching it live, I wasn't able to tell he got hit in the face or the head. I didn't know that until the
Yeah,
replay. And for the referees, it would be hard to tell where he got hit too because it's a weird deflection. It's it's not easy to see. Even if you're on the ice, you don't know. Um, like I said, I didn't see the blood until he took his helmet off and you could see it the side of his head. I don't know if there was blood on the ice. I don't remember seeing it, but um, it's tough to see that stuff live, and it is at the discretion of the referee to blow play down. And if they feel it, there's a clear scoring opportunity coming up, then that's their decision to let it go. You know, there's two
yeah,
referees out there. Neither of them thought it was worthy of blowing down. Now, I don't know if that's the right or wrong call, but that was their call. So that's the
yeah,
way it went. It's tough. I saw all the players mad about it, and I get it because player safety is should be paramount, but that's not how it goes sometimes. And it was like a last minute goal against for Colorado, so I can see why they're frustrated. They ended up winning.
well, there's also the fact too, say, okay, you've got this injured player on the ice, well, that suddenly puts the team at a disadvantage where they're basically just in a shorthanded situation
Yeah,
now, which is also like another reason why if a player is down and clearly hurt too badly to get off the ice on their own, that there should probably be some way to blow the play dead in the time or in real time.
yeah. The obvious problem with that is that players will take advantage of that.
Yes. Yes, that was where I was going to go with that next. We see gamesmanship with delay of games after icing and all that type of
Babs.
stuff. Are we going to see players abusing the oops, I'm too hurt to get up, and then you go down the tunnel and then come back like I think Tortorella did that with a penalty shot
Oh
last year.
yeah.
I can't remember who got hurt on the play, but went down the tunnel after getting slashed or taken down on a breakaway so that Tortorella could pick a better guy to take a penalty shot.
Hmm.
And then immediately by the time the penalty shot even happened, the guy was back on the bench or like standing at the end of the tunnel
Yeah.
watching. So, players, some will take advantage of I'll get play blown dead at the end of a long penalty kill when I block a
Yeah,
shot, I'll just
you
stay down.
see that all the time in
So
minor hockey. Kids will just pretend that they're hurt, so play gets blown down or they get attention or whatever. It happens all the time. So
yeah.
that's something that's kind of just inherent to hockey is, oops, I'm hurt. We better
hmm
stop. um,
So maybe what do you think would be a better way to specify that to prevent it? Like checking for like seeing if they see blood on the ice or something, or blood on the player or the glove or something.
I don't know. I think a good sign is the other player recognizing that
Mm,
that guy is hurt. Like it's
Yeah.
I
Okay,
think
that's a good one too.
it's always just going to be discretion of the referee, but seeing Pedersen react that way, you can tell it was a real injury. It's just like
Yeah.
Backus when um, what's his name, uh,
Right,
Sabrin, yeah,
Sabrin.
Scott Sabrin, when he got hurt, you see Backus, he notices right away. It's not, there's no faux injury here. It's just, this is real, and they blow it down.
Yeah.
Um, it, it's obvious when it's real, but and people can be good actors too. So it's tough. I think it's just it's going to be up to the referees, and sometimes they're going to miss them, and sometimes they're not. They're going to blow it down for someone who's not really that hurt. But that's just the way it goes. I think it's not going to be perfect.
I feel like no, it can't be perfect, but and I feel like in an age where we need to see like we want to see the NHL starting to take steps to like actually pretend they take player safety seriously, that may be giving up like a couple of plays that could have been something because it looks like a guy was hurt versus letting the guy lie on the ice in pain for, however long that he can't get off for. Like maybe it, we see a couple plays now where a team scores because the guy's hurt on the ice. Maybe the other way is going to be better,
Yeah.
where a couple scoring chances might be lost, but it's at the benefit of a player who might be actually really hurt and needs to get off the ice.
Well,
I feel like that might be
I
a better
another
option.
option could be like giving the linesman the ability to call the play dead because they're not watching the play as closely.
They might have a better
Yeah.
vantage point on players around
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Giving them the ability to call play dead when there's an injury.
In those types of
Yeah.
situations,
I,
yeah.
I should
That could
note
work
that
too.
the difference between the Sabrin one and this Calvert one is that the Sabrin one was in the neutral zone in a nothing play. There was no um, imminent scoring chance, so it was a lot
Yes.
easier to make that
Yes.
decision. But in the attacking zone, I think refs are going to have they're going to be more hesitant to blow that play dead because um, you blow that down and the guy's not hurt, and you have a team mad at you. Well, they're going to be mad at you regardless if he is hurt or not because you've blown their
Yeah.
scoring chance.
Which way is it better
Yeah,
for, or which way would you rather than be mad, I guess
yeah. Or you could
is the
have a
question.
team mad
Yeah.
because their guy is actually hurt and you don't stop playing. He's out there struggling. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I think it's kind of just going to be six of one, half a dozen of the other. It's never going to be perfect, and that's just the way sports are.
No.
Sometimes the refs make judgment calls, and sometimes they're wrong, and that sucks.
Yeah.
But I hope Calvert's okay. Um, it, it it's nice at least that McKinnon had a super fucking nice goal in overtime to win the game for them. Did you see that one?
McKinnon scores so many nice goals. Which one was this
He
again?
just went coast to coast basically in overtime and went right by everybody on the Canucks and just roofed it.
You gotta love it. Like just watching a player just use their speed and just fly through everybody.
It was
I'm guessing it's similar to that one he scored
I was
against
just
Calgary
gonna
in the
say that.
playoffs.
It
Yeah.
was very
So
reminiscent
that's
of that.
becoming a staple
Coming
McKinnon
from the
goal.
blue line, just bombs by everybody and just roofs it. Yeah, he is deadly.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it was quite the whirlwind of emotions because as I mentioned, I was watching with some Canucks fans and they were very, very happy that the Canucks scored to tie it up, and then McKinnon just I even said to them, it's time for McKinnon to go piss nasty here. And then he just winds up and just lets it rip.
It's
So
amazing.
yeah. But again, hopefully Calvert's okay because that you never want to see that guy
Yeah.
struggling.
It'll be interesting to see over the next little bit here. Like every time one of these incidents happens, like there's always, a week or so of discussion over it and questions about the rule book being changed, and then it kind of dies off until the next
Yeah.
one. It'll be interesting to see if this is maybe the one that gets it thrown into some GM meetings where they start voting on a rule change or
Yeah.
something, or some sort of provision where it starts to kind of gain some traction. Now that we've seen there's, a lot of players or, a handful of players have come out and said like this will be something that we'll be fighting for
Yep.
with Eric Johnson and Zach Werenski both
Yeah, and if it's
being very vocal about
if
what
it's
happened.
not brought up by the GMs, it'll get brought up by the NHLPA.
Yeah,
Because at the end of the day, the player's health is important, and their representatives will fight for that. But again, I don't know how you write that into the rule book. Like, it's just hockey being a physical game. How do you write mandatory stoppages for down players? Like, I just
yeah,
don't know.
a lot of work on the wording, but
Which will have
could be
the
something that
same
gains a little bit.
discretion. I don't know. I don't know. Um, I did want to mention a few other injuries, and just some.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So, sticking with head injuries, Kyle Opozo diagnosed with his fourth concussion in 3 years. Yeah, hate to
Yeah,
see
and
it.
it took him a long time to come back from that last one,
Yeah,
right?
I think his career was almost over with that last one.
Yeah, because something else happened too in the recovery stage, I think.
Yeah, he got like sick or something.
'Cause he was kind of, yeah, he was kind of in the hospital for a lot of the summer, and we were all kind of like, what the hell just happened? So it was amazing to see him come back and playing again, but another concussion. And the more and more that that some of these guys keep getting, it's like, how much longer can they keep going?
Yeah, I don't know. It's the more that they get, the more dangerous it becomes, right? Um, that's something that
Hmm.
I'm worried about for TJ Oshie, uh, especially his father has um, he's got Alzheimer's, and I think it's Alzheimer's. It might be early onset dementia, but either way, very, very
Yeah,
sad disease. And Oshie has had a lot of concussions in his career, a lot of diagnosed concussions, I should say, too. You never know how many undiagnosed
so
ones.
never mind the just you just get dinged, nothing really happens, but it still is technically one, which for a guy that plays like him, he's gonna
Yeah,
get hit a lot.
yeah, it's dicey. Um, Quickly, while we're on the topic of some head injury stuff, not really an injury, but worth noting that Nolan Patrick is still out of the lineup with his migraine disorder. Is that
Yeah.
yeah, migraine
So
disorder?
yeah, I think that's what he got diagnosed with was migraine disorder right before the season started. I did see in the last week that he's doing like light skating, but he's still nowhere close to coming back. They're kind of talking timelines as like a season, not even like weeks or months. It's like the season.
That's brutal.
So it doesn't sound like he's anywhere close
Yeah,
to
I was
coming
doing
back
some
yet.
reading on it, and it says that the the treatment plan involves a lot of discovering what causes them for you, and everyone kind of has their own
Yeah.
individual triggers. So it can be like
Hmm.
diet or, you know, just whatever it is. It takes a lot of, work to try and figure out how to avoid
Yeah.
them and how to get through them. And man, I feel for the guy. That must be brutal because it's not like I'm out 4 weeks with an injury. It's like I have no idea what is going on.
Yeah. So like, hockey's his life basically, and he can't do anything. So I can imagine the mental toll of that, the physical toll of not being able to exercise that
Hmm.
great, the stress and anxiety around just like what is wrong, like what's going on, when is it going to
Brutal.
stop? And only hope that like they find a trigger or something or some sort of treatment plan to help them just get back to normal first, to living a
Yeah,
normal
outside
life.
of hockey, it's got to be rough. I know Philly wants him back, but
Yeah,
kind of the right way is to take it slow and make sure they do it right, not get him back too early and cause some potentially like lifelong issues. So, yeah,
absolutely.
fingers crossed they can work something out, get him back into the lineup
Absolutely.
eventually, whenever that may be. Um, Canadians kind of had some bad news. Jonathan Drouin is going to be out for what, 8 weeks with a wrist injury?
Yeah, I think I saw today he had wrist surgery today and he's going to be out for 8 weeks. So that's a big loss for them because he's been doing
That's a
really well this
bummer for
year.
sure. He's got 15 points in 19 games so far. So he's been pretty money for them, and that's gonna hurt.
Yeah,
They also lost winger Paul Byron. He's out with a knee injury. So I don't remember what the timeline is for him, but um, he's someone who can contribute in their lineup. He hasn't really been. He's only got 4 points in 19 games, but he brings a lot of speed to that lineup, and I don't know if they really have the amount of depth as some other teams in the league to counteract these two injuries, but they have been scoring by committee, so that is at least a bit
yeah.
of a silver lining.
And the nice thing for Montreal too is they do actually have a fairly strong prospect pool of guys who are close to making it.
Okay,
So they should be able to have enough people coming up, like with Kotkaniemi and Ryan Paling and Nick Suzuki. I think one of them was injured. I don't know if they're back yet,
Kotkaniemi
but
was,
there's enough guys. Yeah, right.
and
So
then I
okay,
think
there's enough guys close that should be able to come up and fill in. And when your team is scoring by committee already, it's easier to slot someone in and they can kind of
yeah,
join the crowd.
yeah, for sure. And then
Um,
last one I have on my list is Crosby. Um, he's out for what is it? 6
6
weeks,
weeks.
so a month and a half. He had sports hernia surgery.
Yeah. So the notable thing about this one too is that this was something that was bothering him in training camp, but he intentionally held off on getting it surgically repaired because of the amount of injuries the team had had around that time frame. And the only reason he did now is because he re-aggravated it in the last game he played. So like it was kind of managed in air quotes, and then like this time they couldn't like put it back in place for him to play until someone else came back. That he had to stop for a bit.
God damn it, Crosby.
So just a really rough year for the Penguins in injuries.
Yeah. The good news, if you want to see it that way, is that Evgeny Malkin typically plays just fucking insane hockey when Crosby is out of the lineup. I don't know what it is, but he just becomes a beast when Crosby's not in the lineup. So
So we're gonna see Hart Trophy Malkin coming back out of the woodworks
I
here.
think so. We're going to see going for broke, mad boy Malkin just out there.
Nice.
Yep.
Stoked on
Yeah.
that.
So that could be exciting. Um, I saw a tweet
Yeah.
um, today, and it was like uh, the Penguins will always have like two random guys. Like so, like a stat line will be like Evgeny Malkin scored with assists from his wingers, like Hank Honk and like Philip Broberg or something. It's just like two random wingers and like Evgeny Malkin. Just they always have some random guys play with
That's
their
that's been like
stars. Yeah,
Pittsburgh for the last
yeah.
5 years.
I know they can't keep getting away
It's
with
like
it.
this amazing like all-time great player and then two random guys who just happen to like be at the rink
Yeah,
that
pretty
day.
much. The Zamboni driver just filling in.
Yeah.
I know they have to stop getting away with it. Oh, I had one last thing. It's not really injury, but semi-related to injury. Is Schneider in New Jersey. Schneider
Corey
has
Schneider,
put on
right? So
waivers today.
that's a what a fall for him. Like it's I was surprised to see it when I started checking his stats this year because I didn't realize that he was kind of dropping down so much from where he used to be. He used to be really, really
Yeah,
good.
he was great. He was one of the best goalies in the league for a while there. And then he
Yeah.
got hurt. His hips, I think, have been um, they worked on surgically at least once, and I think he re-aggravated it this year in game one of the season. Left the game with cramps, but a lot of people speculate that his injury was tweaked. Um, so, so yeah, Blackwood has definitely kind of earned the net. He's been playing better. So
Will Louis Domingue be the savior in New Jersey?
yeah, they called him up. So
Yep, he's back.
yeah, so that could be a very interesting goalie tandem, Mackenzie Blackwood and Louis Domingue. Yeah. So it's just kind of a
All time,
sad,
all timers.
kind of a sad, fall for Schneider in his career here. But I think this could
Yeah,
very well be the end of it. Because
unless he kind of goes down there and I know they find some weird physio stretch or something that helps out.
maybe,
But I know I guess after he hurts his hip so much, he kind of has to change his style, and then at a certain point, you're not really playing the game that got you to where you
yeah,
were, and not everyone can adjust
kind
like
of
that.
sad.
So
Kind of sad that way she goes, I guess.
I think that about wraps it up this week. Yeah. So once again, everybody, thank you for tuning in this week. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Clappercast Media and Twitter at Clappercast, and there you'll find whenever we post new content and just any hockey thoughts and opinions throughout the week. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.